Hey everybody, Robert with RC Archery. In this week's video, I want to give you a sneak peek into a coaching session that we had. And this is going to be with a member of the channel that reached out to me and wanted to do some coaching. To preface what you're going to see and give you some background on here, we have already started the first beginning stages of the coaching program where we set up natural point of aim left and right. And we also go through drawing motions and some different beginning steps. This is going to be the second phase that we're doing with this. And traditionally, we go in a little bit different route, but because of circumstances and what I was seeing, I thought it was easier for this person if we hopped on a Zoom and we went through everything face to face, if you want to look at it that way. But that way I can give him some feedback live and let him give me feedback live as well. So it runs a little bit smoother and quicker through the coaching process, but hopefully you can get some nuggets out of this. It will help you in your archery journey. And if you would like to reach out to me, talk with me about coaching, my email is down below and I'm happy to help you and talk with you about everything as well.
Following your lead.
Sounds good, sir. Well, okay, so now that you have the stance and everything figured out, and I sent you the first part of the course, you said that you have some inconsistencies on your aiming, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so like every 1 out of 10 shots or something will have really good float on target. Everything kind of links up. The rest of them you just struggle.
Right.
When you're struggling with it with the float, what does it look like? Do you notice any kind of patterns or is it just sporadic?
So it's sporadic, but if I'm looking at the pin, if my pin is my finger, it moved quickly. And typically, I'll settle on target after I come to full draw, and the pin is dead center. And then I don't know if that subconscious thing gets going, and then my pin is like we talked, my pin's all over. I'm chasing it at that point. So
Yeah.
those are some things that I'm struggling with currently.
Okay. Cool. So now that we have natural point of aim left and right down, it sounds like we need to double check draw length, loop length to see. Sounds like we're going to be some form of needing to get you more spread out. Would be my guess because you're saying
Okay.
it's quick pin flight and things like that. But we also just need to make sure that your bow shoulder is getting set in the socket because that's going to help you with your float no matter what, even if the other stuff is messed up. So when I'm going to let you go ahead and draw. You don't have to shoot an arrow, but I would like for you to get on target and kind of hold on target like you normally would. Same process. And then instead of putting your thumb on the trigger, I want you to look at the target and I want you to slowly press out, reach, like almost feel like you're reaching and trying to press the bow into the target from your elbow out on your release
Okay.
hand or on your bow hand and then pulling back on your release arm, hand, whatever, and just do that together at the same time, really slow. And it
Okay.
doesn't matter where your pin goes, it can leave the middle, it can go, wherever. But just do that for about 5 to 10 seconds of expanding until you see everything just break down. It looks really bad, let down, and then we can
Okay.
talk through what you're seeing while you do that.
Okay. Here we go. That was way better. So as I was going this way, that settled the pin right down.
Cool.
So
Okay. That
50 shots in, who knows? But
yeah, for sure.
right.
Did you have any pattern of movement or did it just slow the overall pattern down?
It was small. I had one moment where, and I don't know if it was one shoulder or the other collapsing. I don't know if you saw me kind of flinch, then come
Yeah,
back. So that's what that was. And I'm still struggling with building the muscles back up. So
I got you.
we're kind of early in that process as well. So
Yeah, I understand. It takes a while. Oh man, what am I now? I'm like 7, 8 months back into rehab from when I messed up my neck, and
yeah,
I'm just now starting to feel normal. It's taken forever.
yeah,
So yeah, I get that.
yeah.
Okay, because you saw the overall motion just get smaller, that is telling me that like an overall, like the dynamic of the overall spread of your body between your draw length and your loop length and where it's getting your rear arm in place is good. And it's mainly telling me that where you're getting your rear arm in place is good. So if you saw something where as you start pulling and let's say right away, when you start pushing and pulling, the float starts getting really big and open and uncontrolled and it doesn't feel good, then that means you're too long. Typically, it means you're too long on drawing. It could mean your D loop length is too long, but normally when we have too long of a D loop and you start expanding and it breaks down right away, it will start dropping as it breaks down right away because you're losing leverage and it's just
Right.
driving down. So, and quite the opposite, if you're too short on your D loop length, then you'll start noticing as you pull, the bow kind of rises up, but it may rise up and then shoot way over here and way over here in real dramatic fashion. Even if you have too short of a draw length, you usually don't get a crazy buzzy sight picture if the loop length is good. It's really just looking at that loop length. So that's kind of what we want to look at. Now, with you, you're going to have a different scenario for what we need to work with because your loop length to get you into an ideal location for your bow shoulder, we're going to end up lengthening your loop to get you
Okay.
closer to where you are on the height of the elbow right now and the leverage that you have right now, sounds like.
Okay.
But what I would like to do is right now, you have really good form with your shoulder down and in place. You draw and you get to about here, and you're really used to getting your release hand. You want it to come further back on the face because the loop is too short. So to get it further back on the face, you bend the elbow and you pull your shoulder in to get you back there.
Okay.
So the collapse that you felt, that jerk and that movement that you felt on there, when your elbow is bent and the shoulder is in like that, it's more than likely in here. It's just too hard to control positive tension here. So you were probably pushing out here and pulling here, and the shoulder is collapsing because it's rising up. And when it
Sure.
rises up, it shortens the draw length. So it kind of messes that up and it causes that little weird collapse. So
Okay.
um, I have that computer program that I put screenshots into and I can illustrate it, show it to you better. Um, but I built that program off of my line of sight, being able to just see people going through the drill. So I can probably get it closer while we're doing this.
Okay.
And then when you have time, you can adjust the draw length out and we can work through it there. But we can talk about setting up the shot process and the aim and the bars and different things today while we have
Right.
you. And then we'll
Right.
we'll just match the draw length from there. So this is gonna feel weird, but this will be really good because a lot of people need to see this. So when you're drawing the bow back this time and you have the shoulder in a really good spot, it's just natural position as you raise the arm up. You don't have to reach out or pull it in or anything. As you draw the bow back and get to full draw and you're against the back wall, just bring the hand over to the face. Don't bend the elbow. Don't pull the shoulder in. Leave it here and bring the hand over to your face.
Just wherever it is.
Yes,
Okay.
because you may be okay on draw length. You may not be because the string comes behind your nose and it comes really far back. It may be a little bit of draw length change we need to do, but I think it's mostly going to be the loop.
Okay.
But yeah, and if it helps, you can close your eyes. Some people adjust because they see the peep and they come through. You don't have to, but if that helps, do it. But don't worry about where you're at. Just get to full draw and just bring the hand over to your jaw and put it on there.
Okay.
Beautiful. So you can actually see that your string is pretty close to being good on your nose and on your face.
Okay. Yeah. And the float is good. I'm holding a little bit low,
Okay.
but the float is in the, so I'm shooting a red center, white ring, and then a black ring. And I was
Okay.
inside the black ring with the float. So,
Okay. Perfect. So I'm gonna let you rest the muscles and everything there for a minute. I want you to repeat that process one more time. Um,
okay.
we're gonna do it a little bit differently. Draw back and anchor level without being on the target, since your target is a little low. And then at that point, feel like you're taking the angles of that shoulder where you're level and take them together down to the angle of the target, wherever that
Okay.
is in the middle. Once you
Okay.
get in the middle with your shoulders moving together to that angle, then do that drill that we just did where you expand like we talked
Okay.
about, and let's see what your pin float does there with your elbow out a little bit more and go from there.
Yeah, that pretty well put it dead center.
Did it? So it steadied you up? All
Yeah.
right, perfect. So I think really what you're going to find from what you're telling me, you may be fine now on loop link and draw link. So a lot of the times these people that want to get further back with their loop and they're pulling their arm in, they need a longer loop. But if you're steady and it's not leaving the middle, does the motion of it look okay? Is it buzzy and fast?
Yeah. Hang on a second. The Air Force is going over. So the float it's pretty steady. It's smooth. It's not as jerky as it's been, so that is definitely an improvement. I spend more time now in the, I more time in the red part, in the center, and then the white ring on the outside of that. So my float is, I mean, it's in and out, and most of my float now is side to side. It's not up and down at all. If that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's fine. Up and down means we're probably doing something with loop length or draw length. Side to side is a little different. So um, go ahead, do the same thing, but go ahead and shoot a shot this time, the same
Okay.
way that we were doing that drill. And
Okay.
again, don't worry about what your pin does. Just whatever it does is fine. I want to see if it changes with the shot execution versus without.
That's what I'm fighting right there.
Okay.
So I mean, way high, but it's that flinch that I can't figure out. So
Are you, when you tried to shoot your shot just then, were you squeezing the trigger slowly like you talked about?
yeah.
Okay. Do it again, but instead of squeezing the trigger with your thumb, set the thumb on the trigger when you get on target and you get yourself steady in the middle. Just set it on there and leave it on there, and then just push and pull and expand and let the
Okay.
shot go off whenever it goes off. And if it doesn't,
Okay.
great.
Okay. Not as jerky.
Yep. So do that, do the same thing one more time, but this time try to make the shot go off 10, 11 seconds after you get your thumb on the trigger. Go
Okay.
really, really, really slow, like just
Slow.
painfully slow.
Okay. I'm not too worried about where the arrow is going, but that felt pretty good.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah, you didn't flinch that time, so that's good. So I'm gonna let you do that one more time. Try to go even slower than you did on that one, and
Okay.
just stare at the middle of the target the entire time. Doesn't matter where the pin moves. You don't even need to look at it. Just look at the middle of the target where you want the arrow to go the whole time and go as slow as
Okay.
possible.
Okay. That
Okay.
felt better. I mean, the arrows are high because I'm on the wrong sight tape, but yeah, that felt a ton better.
Okay,
That
cool.
felt a ton
So
better.
you mentioned to me before kind of what you're doing is that single digit manipulation and slowly squeezing down on the trigger. So a lot of people run into the same problems you're having with just the flinching and the jerkiness. Myself included, I start doing that. So even like, so I don't know how much you follow all this, but Paige Pierce, was shooting
Yeah.
a hinge release with a fast click, and now she's shooting a hinge release, and she adjusted the click as slow as it'll possibly go to give her a ton of movement. After a while, we get used to whatever the timing is. We get used to it happening. Um, I mean, and you probably already know this, but like archery and any kind of shooting sport, our bodies naturally start bracing for impact for the shot to
Yep.
fire.
Yep.
And then we start, our subconscious starts learning, like, okay, that shot usually fires now. So if the shot fired in the middle of that flinch, you're going to get an arrow that goes wherever. If it doesn't,
Right.
you flinch and restart, kind of thing, right?
Right. Yep.
So, what I like to do with my shooting, and what I tell 99% of the people that we're going to work with on this is when we do that drill where you're slowly pushing out and pulling and expanding, you're doing that to see a steadier float. My goal is to then adjust the tension of the trigger on your thumb release, heavier or lighter, to where when you set your thumb on there and get it engaged and start that expansion, then as that float starts to shrink down and get really good and stay in that window really good, we want the shot to fire then, somewhere in that 2-3 second window of when it's really good, and
Okay.
not before that and not after that. So that's what we're adjusting. And you don't
Okay.
have to squeeze the trigger. You don't have to do anything. All we're doing is that drill where you watch the middle of the target and just try to make your float get steadier. That
Okay.
really helps a ton of people on the anxiety portion of like the flinches and different things that they see.
Right. And when you mentioned the flinch, I've got as heavy a trigger on this, like it's a true fire,
Mhm.
that and I've got as much weight on there as I can put on there and as much travel as I can get.
Uh,
So I went to the just the single digit manipulation, and that's when the flinching got bad. So maybe that is, you're exactly right, where I was rolling my ring finger back more like a hinge release. So and the last two shots is what I did, and that helped that a ton.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
And you might find, I don't want to change too much right now, but as you're testing things and you get comfortable and you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm shooting well, you might try taking all of the available movement in the trigger out and just
okay,
allow it to be off of tension and see if that helps you more.
okay,
Some people, I would say the majority of people like that better, but there are some people that need that movement because then it works like a hinge where it's just kind of moving and it goes off at some point. And it really depends a lot on the releases. Some
right,
releases do better with movement, and some of them you almost feel it kind of building and stacking up, and you can start timing it and get kind of flinchy with it. But it's down to the individual. Like Paige right now has a ton of movement in her hinge, and that's helping her be better. Whereas like I have very little movement in my hinge because it helps me be better. Like I'm worse with a lot of movement. There's times where I need it for like a short dose, but it just
right,
depends on the person.
sure, sure,
Um, when you're so when we're doing that drill right now, that's the main things that I would say, let's work on for now is just getting to full draw with the arm out and not worrying about it, and then bending down and going from there.
okay,
Now,
yeah,
one thing that we can do and should help you in theory on your bow hand, you've talked to me about how you put it on there, and it's like what I put in the videos and the photos and stuff, and it's placement wise is good. But I noticed your fingers are still stretched out. Those fingers being stretched out are going to work a lot like the flinching that you see on the release side. So
okay,
if they tense up or they soften or they shake or move, it has more of an effect on our palm here, and it will twist the bow left and right. So your
okay,
left and
makes
right
sense.
float, some of that may be because of our hand. So let's try one again where you let the fingers on the middle, the ring, and the pinky finger curl them into your palm. So
Okay,
have them like this. And then on these fingers, just let this one wrap and like just shape and mold just like it's putty and it's just soft, and let the release feel like it's pushing into the palm and it's just pushing into the body as you're, drawing the bow back and getting to full draw, and see what that does on float, and kind of how
okay,
it feels.
about dead center. So
Okay.
that actually felt better. So
if you can take tension out of the hand and out of the forearm within reason, if we can take tension out of that on the bow hand side, it actually softens our sight picture. When we have added tension with our fingers being outstretched, a lot of people do that because they feel like they're imparting less into the bow, and it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Um, like even on yours, like you've got your fingers wrapped around the bow handle all the way, which I don't typically recommend, but even doing that, if it's soft, it will have less impact and less like change in our float and our steadiness than doing
Okay.
this, because you actually have to tense your hand up to stick your fingers out. You can naturally, our hands will do this with no tension in them. We have to make them do that. So
Okay.
that's something that I see too. So
Okay.
um that's something I work on as well. Um
Yeah. That's great.
Outside of that, the easiest thing to do for the flinching and just different stuff is just now getting used to that new shot style, and it's having a target. I personally, in your situation, since it's not so bad that you can't shoot a bow without just slamming the trigger down, I personally would have you have a target up, but I want it to be like super close and in your face, 5 feet away, 10 feet away at most, to where your pin is never going to leave like the very center of the target. It's always going to be there. And that's going to help you with the anticipation side and just learning the shot execution and just getting that built up and building the muscle memory and confidence. Main thing is going really slow. And after we get done with the recording here, I'm going to give you an extra tip. It's something from Joel Turner that I really like from his program, but because it's the only thing he has never put in of a podcast or a video, I'm not going to do it on out
Right.
of respect. I'll give it to you,
Absolutely.
but out of respect, I'm not going to give it to everybody, right? But yeah, I mean, it's just going super, super slow and just becoming patient and waiting. Majority of people, like on your shot timing, I've noticed when you shoot, it's actually pretty consistent, and you're in like this 4 to 5 second window, 3 to 5 second window every single time. Majority of people are great there. But you can be, anywhere between 3 and 7 seconds, and usually most people's bodies are going to be okay, and it's not going to break down and do too bad, and you have to adjust that. So like if you're being flinch, like if you flinch and you adjust, or like you're being jumpy, adjust to that and just go a little slower that day. Build up tension slower, whatever, just so you can get yourself out of that habit, because it's something you have to manage day to day sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave this open to you. You let me know, guide me if you have any thoughts from what we've done now and where we're going. How do you feel now with some of the concerns you had prior? And then what haven't we covered that you want to make sure we do now? And, what are you feeling?
So obviously pushing the bow, the biggest tips so far is coming to full draw level with the shoulders level,
Mhm.
and then going down to the target. Right. That made a lot of difference. Just that one thing. Um, Pushing the bow out towards the target while I'm pulling back. And you saw it, I'm holding the bow here, and when I flinched, I was sure that the shoulder was collapsing. So I basically started the whole process again, and
Yeah.
that helped. But probably the one thing that I would say was changing and going away from the single digit, because I'd read that and I just started doing that within the last week and a half or 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
shot for quite a while where I was just rolling these two fingers, and with my thumb there, kind of getting the barrel in the joint and rolling my finger back. That helped. It's also helped. So, it's probably a combination of things. The drawing level and going to the target helped a lot. But probably the most gain was pushing towards the target, bringing the bow in instead of coming in here where I thought I needed to be. Just come in wherever it is, and then pushing this way with my bow hand, pulling back with my releasing. That made a huge difference. So,
Awesome. All right. Well, I mean, that's a great baseline. I wanted you to be able to see what you can do with the draw length and, everything now, and just updating form.
okay.
In the long run, you don't always have to draw level and then move down. Once you kind of build the muscle memory up, you'll know where to put your hand to draw and pre-angle yourself to the target. And that, I mean, that is totally fine too. But the difference in what you're seeing is what you were doing before is you drop the bow arm down. But when I drop my bow arm down and my hand down, the distance from my hand to my face gets longer. So then I have to pull everything in more. So
Okay,
your shoulder that was already collapsing, you're then having to pull it in more versus
getting worse.
now you're staying in a good spot and everything is moving together
Right. Yeah, that's
all the
something that I
time.
can incorporate into my shot process very easily. So
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you letting me film this and put this out there for everybody and
absolutely.
just do like a brief session here and go through some things. So thank you for
Sure.
doing that and
No problem.
much appreciated for all of that.
Yeah. I appreciate the help.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you watching this video. It wasn't quite as smooth as I would hope, but I've got some different settings that I can do on some Zoom if I end up doing some more of these, and it'll make it a little bit easier to be able to see everybody and I can control a little better. So live and learn. This one was definitely a guinea pig moment, but again, hopefully this video has helped you, give you some ideas, maybe what you can work on your own form and the process that I use to help eliminate some variables and kind of direct and guide based off what I'm seeing, and then what I get back is feedback from the archer as well. But thank you again for watching. I'll see you soon.